I had just broken up with the most perfect girl in the world. To make matters worse, I had also just awakened a system. We were standing outside High School 05, and it was the final day before the zero energy test. Luo Shi, let's break up. I looked at the girl standing in front of me. She was beautiful, with pale skin, long legs, and a presence that commanded the attention of everyone who passed by. For 3 years, she had stayed by my side, supporting me and providing for me. I hesitated for a long time, knowing my words might actually get me killed, but I forced them out anyway. The air around us instantly dropped a few degrees. I could only offer a bitter, silent smile in my heart. Are you sure? She asked quietly. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were like deep, dark pools of water. She had an elegant, high-class aura that made her seem almost untouchable. She was a bit too cold, perhaps, but she was stunning. Yes, I'm sure. I took a deep breath and looked her straight in the eyes. Luo, she didn't smile. Her face was as smooth as porcelain, framed by hair as dark as the night sky. She was the undisputed legend of High School 05. She was a genius, a top-tier talent, and for some reason, she had been my girlfriend for 3 years. She had even used her own resources to keep me going. I've had enough of being with you. I lied, my heart racing. You're bossy, arrogant, and you never listen to reason. Do you think I'm happy just because you give me snacks and protect me? You even waste your own cultivation time to coach me. Stop being so self-centered. I'm tired of it. I have no freedom when I'm with you. I'm not happy at all. I went all out, throwing every hurtful word I could think of at her. As I spoke, her expression grew colder and colder. Slap. Before I could finish my sentence, a sharp sting erupted across my cheek. I froze. Luo, she was usually dominant, but she had never hit me before. I knew I deserved it. If it weren't for her, I would have died 3 years ago. She had given me her time, her heart, and countless cultivation resources. To give all that and receive a breakup speech in return was an insult no one could bear. Especially not someone as proud as Luo Shi. Take back what you just said, she commanded, her voice icy. I'll pretend I didn't hear it. I stared at her stubbornly and said nothing. We stood there in a tense deadlock, our eyes locked. For the first time in 3 years, I didn't back down from her gaze. After a few seconds, she looked away. She suddenly looked exhausted. If you really want to leave, then you've succeeded, she whispered. Go. Don't let me see you again. The disappointment in her eyes was devastating. She brushed past me, her cold, lonely figure moving away without looking back. My face went pale. My body trembled, but I forced myself to stand still. I didn't say a word. I let her walk away. I stood there like a stone pillar for a long time. It wasn't until she completely vanished from my sight that my strength finally gave out. I slumped to the ground, my face twisting in pain. Every word I had just said was a lie. Luo, she wasn't unreasonable. She was controlling, yes, but she always respected my choices. She only became bossy when she was forcing me to take resources I tried to refuse. Most of the time, she was actually quite clingy. I was the one who usually led the relationship. Who would actually want to break up with a beautiful, protective, genius girlfriend who was completely devoted to them? I did it because I was holding her back. In this era of catastrophe, cultivation resources were everything. She was wasting hers on a loser like me. She even suppressed her own cultivation speed just so the gap between us wouldn't look too large. She did it to protect my pathetic pride as a man. Even while holding herself back, she was still the #1 student in school. She could have been so much stronger if I wasn't in the way. I touched my face and sighed. Maybe I was just too handsome for my own good. It was a curse. Tomorrow was the zero energy test. Luo, she was already at the 9th level of the Inuan realm. She was guaranteed a spot at a top-tier martial arts university. Me? Even with all her help, I was only at the 3rd level. I was headed for a vocational school at best. After tomorrow, we would live in 2 different worlds. University was the most important time for a cultivator. I couldn't let myself be the anchor that dragged her down. Luo Shi, I hope you reach the heavens, I whispered to the empty air. I laughed at myself. In this world, strength was the only thing that mattered. Meanwhile, Luo, she was walking toward her home. Her pace wasn't fast, yet her figure seemed to blur, moving through the streets like a ghost. No one noticed her. I'm still not strong enough, She murmured to herself. If I were stronger, he wouldn't have thought about leaving me. Her aura began to surge. She was breaking through while simply walking down the street. She hit the peak of the Inuan realm instantly. Then, she crossed the threshold into the Dongming realm. She didn't stop there. Level 1. Level 2. She kept climbing until she hit the 9th level of the Dongming realm. She had jumped an entire major realm without any pills or assistance. It was a feat that would have shocked the world if anyone had seen it. She had suppressed herself for so long for my sake, but now that we were over, she had no reason to hide. I'll become the strongest in the world, she whispered, her dark eyes flashing with a dangerous light. Then, he will never be able to leave me again. A strange emotion flickered through my mind, and the plans I had made started to shift. Suddenly, a series of sharp, electronic tones rang out inside my head. Ding! Suitable host detected. Reincarnation system binding in progress. Success. Loading 5-path system. Generating character template. Restarting reincarnation system. If I hadn't reached the 3rd level of the Inuan realm, giving me near-perfect control over my body, I would have thought I was hallucinating. I stood there, frozen. I had a system. The pain of the breakup was instantly pushed aside by disbelief. Before the Great Cataclysm, system novels were all the rage, and I had read plenty of them. I knew this was my golden finger. But a part of me wanted to cry. Why did it have to wait until right after Luo Shi and I broke up to wake up? Luo Shi, maybe we don't have to break up? I think I can still be saved, I muttered to myself. I desperately wanted to turn around and find her. I even took a half step back toward where she'd gone, but I stopped myself. My shoulders slumped. I was the one who had initiated the breakup. How could I crawl back now? Especially after her final words. Don't let me see you again. The disappointment in her eyes had been so sharp it felt like a physical blade in my chest. She was so hurt. She probably never wanted to see my face again. I sighed and shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts. Besides, I didn't even know if this system was reliable yet. As if sensing my doubt, information about the system's functions flooded my mind. One of them was a future plot simulation, essentially a prophecy power. The other allowed me to travel to reincarnation worlds to train and grow stronger. Naturally, I couldn't wait. I wanted to see a future where Luo Shi and I were happy together. I immediately activated the simulation. Today, you and Luo Shi broke up. You were devastated. You returned home only to find your younger sister had been kidnapped by men in black. You fought them to the death. You died. I stared at the void, caught completely off guard. I wanted a sweet romance, and instead, I got a death sentence. I wouldn't even survive the day. A cold sweat broke out across my back. Panic gripped me. Why would men in black break into my house? We were dirt poor. A thief would leave our place empty-handed and crying. Was it a vendetta? I was the social butterfly of the school. I didn't have enemies. Was it my sister, Su Xian? No, she was just a middle schooler. Like me, she was useless at everything except being good-looking. Could it be kidnapping for her looks? I frowned. She was as flat as a board. That didn't make sense either. There was only one logical conclusion: Luo Shi. Having a girlfriend as impossibly talented as her was the only thing that could attract that kind of trouble. I shook my head, forcing myself to stay calm. Now wasn't the time to guess motives. I had to save her. But my simulation charges for the main world were gone. I couldn't use prophecy to find a way out. My only choice was the other function, reincarnation simulation. Ideally, I wanted to say goodbye to my family and Luo Shi before leaving. The system warned me that time moved differently there. A moment in reality could be decades or centuries in the reincarnation world. But I didn't have a moment to spare. My gaze hardened. I clicked Reincarnation Travel. A preview of my simulated life in that world flashed before my eyes. Year 0, you are born into a normal family. Year 3, you are bitten by a vicious dog brought home by your father. You lose a leg. Year 4, the village children bully you because you are a cripple. Year 8, bandits slaughter your village. You survive only because you are hidden under your parents' corpses. A female cultivator from a sword sect saves you. Year 9, she heals your leg, but your foundation is ruined. You cannot cultivate. Year 10, you try anyway. Progress is agonizingly slow. Year 23, you are killed by the enemies of your younger martial sister. You died. The system asked one final time. Reincarnation cannot be stopped once started. There is a risk of soul dissipation. Do you wish to begin the reincarnation record? Looking at that miserable life story, I felt a dull ache in my chest. Su Xian, you're a brat, but I'm still your big brother, I whispered. This was a huge gamble. I just hoped I'd return in one piece instead of a buy one, get one free deal where we both ended up dead. I hesitated for a second, then pulled out my phone and sent one last text. Luo Shi, wait for me to come back. I didn't wait for a reply. I felt a surge of desperate courage and hit confirm. Mission, change your destiny. Find the person with the Empress fate and reach 100% favorability. Complete the mission to return. Good luck. The world blurred into a chaotic stream of light. My consciousness plummeted into endless darkness. Time passed. In a place called Green Mountain Town, people often saw a 1-year-old toddler wandering around a courtyard. He spent his days catching grasshoppers, trapping ants, and stepping on beetles. He was a cute, porcelain doll of a kid, but he had a strange steadiness in his eyes that didn't match his age. He was also incredibly agile. Ding. You killed a grasshopper. Experience +1. Ding. You crushed a caterpillar. Experience +1. This toddler was, of course, me. No other 1-year-old would be this systematic about murdering insects. I had a long way to go, and I wasn't wasting a single second. As the system notifications chimed in my ear, a small, chubby smile spread across my face. This was the hidden perk of my situation, the Marshall system. It was simple. Fight to level up. Every time I crushed a tiny insect, I gained experience points to make this infant body stronger. Today, my luck was holding up. My parents had headed out to the fields, leaving their little burden at home. About a month ago, I'd stopped crying and acting like a typical baby, pretending to be a quiet, sensible child so they'd feel safe leaving me alone. I waited until I heard the door click, then I performed a clumsy somersault out of my crib, my eyes darting around like a little thief ready for action. I'd been in this reincarnation world for over a year now. For the first 11 months, my consciousness was trapped in a foggy, infant haze. It wasn't until a month ago that I finally woke up fully. I immediately started acting like a child prodigy. No more mindless screaming, just so my new parents would let me play by myself. My leveling progress depended entirely on how much my parents ignored me. Luckily, in this ancient rural setting, childcare wasn't exactly a high priority. If I didn't get strong, the original version of Sumo would have been bitten by the family dog at age 3 and nearly died. Original Sumo, you can thank me later, I muttered. For the past month, while my parents were busy, I'd been having friendly conversations with every bug I could find. I was so close to leveling up I could taste it. I pulled up my status screen. Host, Sumo age, 11 months. Level, 0. Experience, 99 out of 100. Evaluation, weakling. Sigh. What I'm doing is wrong, I said in my high-pitched toddler voice, looking down at the dirt. We should protect the environment. Aren't insects lives too? My eyes landed on a caterpillar crawling near my foot. Without a second thought, I brought my tiny heel down. Crunch. Ding. You stepped on a caterpillar. Experience +1. Level up. A flash of golden light washed over me. A warm current surged through my veins, and I could feel my tiny hands gaining grip strength. My whole physique toughened up instantly. Host, Sumo age, 11 months. Level, 1. Experience, 0/200. Evaluation, the strength of one chicken. The strength of one chicken? I actually loved that description. It was direct. But then I saw the next level required 200 points. The experience needed had doubled. Between my official duties of eating and napping, I could only sneak away to kill maybe 5 or 6 bugs a day. If I was lucky, maybe 10. I clenched my tiny fist. Even at level 1, I felt like I had the strength of a 7 or 8-year-old child. I could actually move heavy stones now. No one would believe a child, not even a year old, had this kind of power. I knew I had to push harder. I had to find bigger, nastier targets, poisonous centipedes or spiders. I was in a rush for a reason. Back in the real world, my sister Su Xian was waiting for me to save her. And in this world, disaster was coming. At age 3, the dog would attack. At age 8, this entire village would be slaughtered by bandits. Time waited for no one. I had to be strong enough to survive the bloodbath. With a look of innocent determination, I scanned the yard for my next victim. However, my easy days soon ended. Once the autumn harvest finished, my parents weren't as busy. They started taking me everywhere with them. My opportunities to grind disappeared. On the bright side, I was growing fast. By the time I hit my first birthday, I was a fair-skinned, energetic toddler who looked more like a 2-year-old. Finally, one afternoon, my parents left for work again. It was time for a harvest. Ding. You crushed a centipede with a rock. Experience plus 10. Ding. You killed a spider. Experience plus 10. Ding. You stepped on a butterfly. Experience plus 5. Ding. You destroyed an ant nest. Experience plus 5. Level up. Host, Su Mo Age. 1. Level. 2. Experience, 0/500. Evaluation, the strength of 2 chickens. 2 chickens? Not bad. At this rate, in another 2 years, I'd be a powerhouse. I felt the surging strength in my limbs and smiled. What boy doesn't want the strength of 2 chickens? But then I looked at the next requirement. 500 points for level 3. Are you kidding me, system? I hissed. Even a greedy capitalist wouldn't hike the prices this much. I was a 1-year-old working a full-time job as an exterminator, and the goalposts kept moving. If it followed this pattern, reaching level 10 before the bandits arrived at age 8 seemed impossible. The bandits would be at least level 10 themselves. If I couldn't fight them, could I convince my parents to move? Probably not. They wouldn't listen to a toddler. Just as I was feeling desperate, another chime rang out. Ding. Because you have killed a vast number of ants, you have earned the title, Ant Slayer. Title effect. You can control ants within a certain range. I blinked. Ant Slayer? I didn't kill that many. Then the realization hit me. I could control them? My eyes lit up. This changed everything. I could send an army of ants to scout the area for bigger insects, or better yet, have them drag the bugs directly to me while I sat in my crib. With an army of insects as my eyes and ears, my leveling speed was about to explode. This was the place. I stood behind our backyard, staring at the base of an ancient banyan tree. According to the faint, hazy connection in my mind, the largest ant nest in the area was right here. I looked down at my fingertip. A tiny ant crawled across my skin, its antennae twitching rapidly as if broadcasting a signal. Thanks to my Ant Slayer title, I could feel its primitive consciousness guiding me. In front of me was a massive hollow in the tree trunk. It was a sprawling, subterranean fortress. My children, I whispered, standing there in my open crotch pants with my hands on my hips. I need your strength. I focused my will. Through the title, I linked my mind to a vast, swarming cloud of consciousness. A moment later, a black tide of ants began to pour out of the hole. Under the command of a seemingly harmless 1-year-old, the army began to move. Asterisk ding. Your ant legion is devouring a centipede. Experience plus 5. Asterisk. Asterisk ding. Your ant legion is devouring a sparrow. Experience plus 10. Asterisk. Asterisk ding. Your ant legion is devouring a python carcass. Experience plus 50. Asterisk. I spent the next few days lying comfortably in my crib, listening to the constant stream of system notifications. Life was good. As long as the ants I controlled ate something, I gained experience. I only got half the experience I would have earned from a manual kill, but the sheer volume made up for it. At first, I thought about having them bring the bugs to me so I could finish them off myself, but that was too much work. It was better to let them eat on sight. I estimated I had over 10,000 ants under my command, covering a radius of about 1 kilometer. Almost level 3. I mumbled, watching my experience bar climb. I love this speed. A week passed, and I officially turned 2 years old. Asterisk ding. Your ant legion found a lost lamb. Devouring in progress. Action failed. 10 ants lost. 3 ants are stuck on the lamb and can't get down. Asterisk. Asterisk ding. Your ant legion is cornering a wounded mantis. Capture successful. Experience plus 10. Asterisk. Suddenly, a golden light flashed over my body. Asterisk host. Su Mo Age. 2. Level 3. Experience 0/1000. Evaluation. The strength of a bull. Asterisk. A bull. I winced. Does this system have to compare me to animals every time? The next level required 1,000 points. My heart sank. I had already picked the surrounding area clean. My ant army had caused a mini ecological extinction within a 1-mile radius. In the beginning, I was pulling in 100 points a day. Now, I was lucky to get 10. My workforce was also suffering casualties from getting lost or dying in the line of duty. The leveling speed had stalled. I rubbed my chin, thinking hard. I needed a new plan. It was a bit cruel, but I had no choice. I summoned the entire colony. A massive, writhing black cloud gathered in my yard. What did I always tell you? I said in my high-pitched toddler voice. Heaven loves all living things. We shouldn't be so violent. Look at you all. You've stripped the land bare. Your sins are too heavy. I sighed, turning my back on them like a tragic hero. I can't save you now. My children, you must sacrifice yourselves. Do it cleanly. I don't want to have to step on you all manually. That would be exhausting. I gave the order. The ants began to turn on each other, devouring their own kind in a massive frenzy. Asterisk ding. Ant number 1 killed ant number 2. Experience plus 0.1. Ding. Ant number 6 killed ant number 5. Experience plus 0.1. Ding. Ant number 6 launched a sneak attack on number 321. Experience plus 0.1. 2 hours later, the yard was silent. The black cloud was gone, replaced by a carpet of remains. Only one ant stood in the center of the carnage. Ding. Ant number 6 survived to the end. Through constant combat and consumption, it has mutated into the iron-armored Ant King. Ding. Pet system unlocked. No way, I whispered, stunned. A golden light hit the survivor. The once ordinary ant began to grow until it was half the size of a human fist. Its body turned a metallic silver, etched with strange, glowing runes. Ding. Please name your pet. Since he was number 6 and survived, let's go with Xiao Lu, I decided. Name, Xiao Lu. Race, Iron-Armored Ant King. Level, 3. Skills, Bloodline Suppression, Herculean Strength, Bronze Skin, and Iron Bones. I stared at the stats, feeling a bit jealous. This little guy was level 3 and had 3 powerful skills, while I didn't have a single skill yet. Even worse, now that he was a pet, I couldn't turn him into experience points anymore. Xiao Lu stood there, looking at me with big, goofy eyes. He seemed confused by the way I was staring at him. Asterisk host, Su Mo age, 2. Level, 5. Experience, 231/2000. Evaluation, the strength of one man, asterisk. The mass sacrifice had catapulted me straight to level 5. At just 2 years old, I finally possessed the strength of a full-grown man. Xiao Lu, I said, standing tall and trying to look imposing. Now that you're part of the team, you have to work hard. Your master isn't like those blood-sucking capitalists. I respect your rights. That's why we're starting a 007 schedule. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Any questions? Xiao Lu just tilted his head, looking at me intently. Great. Silence is consent, I said, waving him off. Go. Level up for me. The silver ant nodded, seemingly understanding, and scurried off into the grass. Xiao Lu's small, silver body scurried away toward the distant mountains. I watched him go, feeling confident in my new employee. Moa, look what I brought home, my father's voice boomed from the path. We've got a new family member. A series of aggressive barks followed his shout. My father, Suyu, walked into the yard leading a massive, mean-looking black dog. I twitched my lips in annoyance. A new family member? I was just thrilled. Yay, a new friend, I said, making my voice sound as cute and childish as possible. Internally, I was anything but happy. I focused my mind, and the status windows for the man and the dog flickered into view. Asterisk name, Suyu. Level, 7-9. Skills, Hunting Specialization, Basic Combat, asterisk. My father's level had a 9 in parentheses next to it. I glanced at the bow and arrows slung over his shoulder and realized the bracketed number represented his power when armed. It made sense. A regular man with a weapon is a lot more dangerous than one with bare hands. However, I figured that as levels got higher, the gap provided by basic gear would probably shrink. Then I looked at the dog. Asterisk name, Big Black Dog. Level, 6. Skills. Bite. Wild nature. Asterisk. Level 6. This beast was stronger than the village chief's dog. It looked at me with a predatory glint in its eyes. I stared back, my gaze turning cold. In the original timeline, this dog was supposed to bite me next year, mangling my leg and ruining my foundation for cultivation. Even though it hadn't happened yet, just thinking about it made my blood boil. I couldn't kill it just yet, but I made a mental note. This dog was going to be a very large meal one day. The dog sensed my hostility and bared its teeth at me, growling low in its throat. "You brute. If you weren't such a good hunter, I'd have slaughtered you already," my father snapped. He picked me up and delivered a sharp kick to the dog's ribs. The animal whimpered and curled up in the corner, suddenly submissive. My father's words gave me an idea. I started pestering him immediately, using every bit of toddler charm I had. "What? You want to learn how to hunt?" Suyu's voice jumped an octave. He looked at his 2-year-old son and shuddered. "No way. You're too small." He shook his head like a rattle. "Absolutely not. Hunting is dangerous. Your mother would kill me. I know you're a good boy, but no. And I don't have any secret money hidden away. Stop saying that." He wouldn't take me into the woods, but I finally wore him down on a different request. I asked him to bring the prey back alive, or at least with one breath left in them. He didn't understand why I wanted living toys, but since it was my first real request, he couldn't say no. Over the next few days, my father returned with various animals. Each time, I would secretly deliver the finishing blow. Asterisk ding. You killed a heavily injured rabbit. Experience plus 10. Asterisk. Asterisk ding. You killed a heavily injured deer. Experience plus 20. Asterisk. Asterisk ding. You killed a heavily injured gray wolf. Experience plus 50. Asterisk. When I saw the gray wolf, I felt a chill. The mountains were even more dangerous than I thought. I didn't know how my father managed to catch a wolf alone, but the simulator had suggested he'd be safe until the bandits arrived when I turned 8. Between my father's gifts and Xiao Lu's nonstop grinding in the wild, my experience bar soared. By the time I turned 3, I had leveled up twice more. Asterisk host, Su Mo age, 3, level, 7, experience, 131/5000. Evaluation, surging blood and chi, asterisk. That year, a new opportunity appeared. "Mo, do you want to learn martial arts?" my father asked. A stranger had arrived in Qingshan town. He was a martial arts master who had just opened a dojo and was looking for disciples. My father thought I was too young, but he'd noticed my freakish strength and figured I might be a natural prodigy. When we arrived at the dojo, I saw a crowd of kids. Most were 7 or 8. Some were as old as 12. A 3-year-old like me was a rare sight, drawing curious stares from everyone. I ignored them and looked straight at the man sitting in the grand chair. Name, Long Xiaohu. Age, 47. Level, 21/39. Status, internal injuries. Realm, early dark gene, formerly late hua gene. Skills, dragon tiger fist, long rainbow swordplay, dragon tiger steps. This was my first time seeing a real martial artist. Even with his injuries causing his level to drop significantly, he had a powerful aura that regular people couldn't match. I realized then that the levels in this world corresponded to realms, Ming Jin, Dark Jin, and Hua Jin. Long Xiaohu noticed my gaze. His eyes brightened. He walked over, felt the bone structure of my joints, and grinned. "Good potential," he muttered. He then turned to the group of nervous kids. "Listen up. If you want to learn the sword, you will swing your blade 1,000 times a day. If you want to learn the fist, you will hit the wooden post 1,000 times a day. You must practice until the sword is an extension of your arm. You have 1 month to see if you're cut out for this. If you can't handle it, get lost and go back to farming." The dojo erupted in groans and complaints. 1,000 times? Every day? To these kids, it sounded like a death sentence. To me, it sounded like the start of something great. Children are naturally restless. They hate boring tasks, and for most of these kids, the initial excitement of martial arts had already vanished. They were ready to quit before they even started. But amidst the chorus of complaints, a tiny, high-pitched voice rang out. It sounded young, but it was full of energy. I didn't say a word. I just walked over, picked up a wooden sword that was actually longer than I was tall, and started swinging with everything I had. It looks like Su Mo is the only one here with real talent, Long Xiaohu said, watching my small figure work. He looked pleased, but he immediately used me as a weapon to shame the others. If you can't handle this, go back to the farm. Your fathers are farmers, you are farmers, and your ancestors were farmers. If you don't have the heart for this, go back to the dirt where you belong. His words were cold and cut deep. The other disciples clenched their fists in frustration. Seeing me, the smallest kid there, already working, they gritted their teeth and joined in. Soon, the dojo was filled with the sound of whistling wooden swords and punching bags. The place was finally alive. Long Xiaohu watched them and sighed, shaking his head. He knew most of these kids were just reacting to his insults. They were putting on a show, throwing soft punches with barely 30% of their strength. Without the right mindset, they would never truly walk the path of a martial artist. Then his eyes landed on me. I was completely focused. Every strike I made carried at least 80% of my power. He smiled, feeling a sense of relief. It was my eyes that had caught his attention from the start. They were sharp, steady, and determined. It was hard to believe a 3-year-old could have the gaze of a seasoned warrior. 2 hours passed. Is this kid a freak? Doesn't he get tired? One of the older boys whispered. I thought he was just showing off, but he hasn't stopped, another added, rubbing his sore wrists. Most of the disciples had collapsed. They were on their 3rd break, resting every 30 minutes because their arms felt like lead. But I hadn't stopped for a single second. I was drenched in sweat, but I felt more alive than ever. The older kids stared at me like I was a monster. They couldn't understand where a toddler got this kind of willpower. But they didn't see what I saw. Asterisk ding. You have swung your sword 100 times. You gain martial insights and 10 experience points. Asterisk. Asterisk ding. You have swung your sword 100 times. Basic swordplay proficiency +1. Asterisk. I shouldn't have been able to last this long, but the system gave me too much to pass up. I hadn't expected that swinging a wooden stick would grant me raw experience points. Every time I earned 10 points, a warm current flowed through my body, repairing my muscles and washing away my fatigue. I wasn't damaging my body, I was refining it. The thrill of leveling up was addictive. I averaged one swing every 10 seconds. After 2 hours, I had hit 720 strikes. I was almost at the master's goal, but 1,000 wasn't enough for me. I wanted 10,000. On the first day, I couldn't reach that goal. If I swung too fast, my form slipped, and the system wouldn't count it as a valid strike. I ended my first day with 5,000 valid swings. I did the same on the second day. By the end of it, my skill leveled up. Name, Su Mo age, 3. Level, 7. Skill, Basic Swordplay Level 1, Beginner. With the skill finally at the beginner level, my movements became more fluid. I could now swing once every 8 seconds while keeping my form perfect. On the third day, I hit 6,200 swings. On the fourth, 7,300. Within a few days, my basic swordplay leveled up again, reaching this small success stage. Now, I could strike once every 5 seconds. I finally hit my goal of 10,000 swings a day. There was a catch, though. As my skill level increased, the experience I gained per swing started to drop. At level 2, 10,000 swings gave me 1,000 experience points. By level 3, those same swings only gave me 500. I didn't care. I kept going day and night, pushing my limits. Time blurred as I practiced. My frequency increased until I was swinging once per second, then twice. Eventually, I could finish my 10,000 swings in just 2 or 3 hours. With all that extra time on my hands, I started looking at the other disciples. It was time to see how my progress stacked up against the rest of the world.